Hello, are you here to debate?
Yeah.
All
Yeah, I
right.
just have a question for you. It's not really too much of a debate, but number one says
Can I
trans
first
women
just get
are
your
women.
yeah, can I
Can
first
you
just get
just
your
tell me
name, age, and
what a
pronouns?
woman is?
Hold on. Can I first just get your name, age, and pronouns?
Bob.
Okay, that answered one of my three questions. Can you answer the other two?
What are the other two?
I asked for name, age, and pronouns.
Age is 25. Pronouns are he, him.
Okay, now what did you say your question was?
What is a woman?
I define a woman as an adult sorry, an adult human whose gender identity aligns with their schema of the female sex.
What is the female sex?
The female sex would be the sex that typically produces large gametes.
It does what?
The sex that typically produces large gametes.
Okay. When it comes to chromosomes, what chromosomes typically align with a female sex?
Typically, it would be chromosomes that are XX and or don't have an expressed SRY gene.
Okay, so if someone has XY, what would that make them?
Typically male, unless you're like have a XY karyotyping and you're a female.
Right. Well, I mean, the only issue with that is, based off of science, there's only two genders. There's XX and XY.
Those would be
Just based
sexes,
off of
and
how you feel.
those aren't the only
I mean,
two
there might
sex
be there
chromosome
might be
pairings.
different genders. How someone feels in their heart is one thing. Cool. I mean, if you feel like you're one thing, you can be that, but you're not necessarily that. If I say, let me tell you something right now, I'm a 5'10" white
Mm-hmm.
male. If I go
Mm-hmm.
and put on my record that I am a 6'5" African American male,
Mm-hmm.
right? And I go to get hired and they go, hey, that's not you, what would that be called? If I feel like I'm something in my heart that I'm not,
Okay, can I just
whose
respond to what
problem
you're
is
saying?
that?
Can I respond to what you're saying?
Go ahead.
Because
Go ahead.
you made a fundamental error here. You said per science there are only two genders and it's XX and XY. There's a few like categorical errors here. One, uh, gender is not sex. Science actually focuses on like biology specifically focuses on sex, and chromosomes would
Right.
be specifically genotypic sex. Secondly, there are more than two sex chromosome pairings. XX and XY aren't the only pairings. There's also XO, XXX, XXY. I think there's XYY as well. Like we've actually discovered that there's like a litany of different. I think we're up to like 23 that we've discovered. So this idea that there's only two chromosome pairings is also false. There's also things like mosaicism, which is when humans have equal parts XX and XY chromosomes in their cells. So those would be the
Uh,
categorical errors that you made.
cool. What I'm talking about is when people try to claim that they're one thing that they're not. So they have the XX, right? If they have different chromosomes, cool. But they don't. They have XX, they're claiming to be XY, right? They want to
Nobody's
be
doing that.
treated. Nobody's doing that. Nobody's
No.
saying that has XX chromosomes. No biological man is trying to be a woman, is what you're just saying. There are biological men
Yeah.
who are
So
trying to be women,
man is a
and they call
sociological
themselves
term, not a
transgender.
biological term.
Okay, and what does man associate with when it comes to chromosomes? You just earlier said.
No, I didn't. And if you were confused about my definition, I can expand on it. But I said that a man is an adult human whose gender identity aligns with their schema on the male sex, not somebody who is
Their
male.
scheme.
Their schema.
Their scheme.
Schema is a psychological term that deals with brain categorization.
Okay. At the end of the day, when someone has male reproductive organs, they're a male. And they can feel whoever they want. That's awesome. But they're not going to force onto other people that they're not a man. If they have a male scrotum, they are a male. Okay? Because then if you
have
want
a
to be a
male
female,
scrotum, they are a male.
yes. If you have a penis, you are a male. If you have a vagina, you're a woman.
Okay, so
It's simple
if
as that.
somebody
Because
has
typically, I mean,
XX chromosomes and they're born,
it
hold on. If
opens the
somebody,
door for
hold
people to be.
on, a conversation has to be back and
I mean,
forth, right?
I was talking. You interrupted me, so
Well,
I
yeah,
was still
because you said
going.
something
I let you
fundamentally
go.
untrue again, so I wanted to
Okay, well,
correct it.
wait until I'm done, and then you can correct me.
No, that's okay.
Right? Wouldn't you want me to
Uh,
go further down the rabbit hole if I'm incorrect?
no, if you're incorrect, I
Or
don't
would
want you to
you
go
just want
further
to
down the
interrupt
rabbit hole
me and
because that
state
means
your
I have
point?
to. If you say something incorrect and you're going to continue on the tirade of something incorrect, I want to stop you ahead of time so we don't have to listen to 10 minutes of incorrect things just for me to say, hey, the
I'm not
whole
gonna go
premise
for
of this
10
is
minutes.
wrong.
I wasn't gonna go for 10 minutes, but go ahead.
Yeah, so penises and vaginas are not sex determinant traits, so they don't determine your
Right.
sex. Your penis and vagina is determined by your sex genes. So when we say
Yeah,
somebody has a
but
penis,
yeah,
therefore they're male, is incorrect.
you just said that they have to do with sex genes. So if I
Yes,
have
they're not
XX
sex
or if I have
determinant
XY
traits.
and I have a penis, wouldn't that make me a man?
No, because you can have a penis if you have an expressed SRY gene on two XX chromosomes.
You're talking about things that are not common. I'm
I don't
talking
care
about
if
what
something
is
is common.
normal. If there's a 1% that happens, you don't base all of everything else based off the 1% happening.
We do
You go,
actually
hey,
if we're
on a
doing
majority,
science. Yes. If
98%
it's
of
science, yes,
people
we
are
do.
like this, 99% of people are like this. This is what we're going to base it off of, which is reality.
If
And then the other
if
people,
it's
okay,
in
they might
science,
know.
yes, we do base things off the minority. Yes. Absolutely, we
You
do. We
base
don't
things
make
off the minority.
yes, you don't make absolute claims in science if there is an exception. So you can't go like to be a man, you have to have a penis when the SRY gene can express itself on the XX chromosome and females can be born with penises. Like you physically
Right.
can't say that.
What I'm talking about is when people are born with a male reproductive organ, right? And they go and they have these surgeries to reaffirm themselves and remove their male reproductive organ because of how they feel. And then things go badly, and there's so many accounts of it, and they wish they hadn't done that because
Oh yeah,
people
show me
like
those
you are
accounts.
pushing them. So look it up, dude. Watch YouTube.
I haven't found
Watch
them. Show me the
anything but your
accounts.
psycho liberal shit.
I
And you'll
haven't
have
found them. Can you
so
show me
many
them?
accounts. You can't find one. How am I going to show you? What do you
Well,
want me to do? Walk over to your house and show you a YouTube video? Which
I don't
then
know,
you're
give
going
me
to
the
somehow
name of
debate your way
give
out
me
of
a
it?
name or something.
Do you think I like recall every single detail based off the video, the person who made it, the person you can go look
I would
up?
assume if
No,
you're
I
going to
just
make a
watched the
claim, you're going to
video.
have evidence for your claim.
You're making claims. What are your claims?
What claim have I made?
Your science based off of the minority. Who said that?
That's just logic based on like how we do science. What are you talking about?
No, I want to hear who said that. What scientist? What acclaimed scientist said that?
Every person that's ever made a scientific journal.
Okay, then you can find one pretty easily, can't you?
Well, no, because it's not something. Yeah, I think you're missing. I think you're not understanding my claim there.
Every scientist ever has said that. And
Yeah, I think you don't understand my claim.
You're missing opportunity.
Yeah, I think you don't understand how science, and I think you have a fundamental misunderstanding of how science works. So if you're going to make, there's a reason why when I define things like scientifically, and in most cases, science uses the phrase typically, right? Because they're understanding that there's always going to be an atypical. So when you make an absolute statement, and that absolute statement has exceptions, that would be an unscientific statement.
Okay. I'll give you that. I mean, things typically are not absolutes in science, but there are some absolutes in science.
Such as?
Let me find one.
Okay.
But you say earlier that there are no absolutes in science.
No, I said there can't be an absolute if there's an exception. If there's not an exception, then yeah, you might find something that has an absolute. But there will always, so for instance, like gravity, I could say when I throw something up, it comes down. But I can't always say this because if I throw something in the vacuum of space, it's not coming down. So I can't say the absolute. I can say typically when I'm on Earth, if I throw something up, it'll come down. But even that's not 100% because if I'm on a plane that's doing that thing where it goes up and then comes down, so there's a period of weightlessness, then again, when I throw something up, it doesn't come down.
How do you feel about people who are transgender going into the opposite sex bathroom?
Go nuts. What do I care about? I don't care what people do in the bathroom. Like,
why would you want a biological male in the restroom with minor children?
Biological males go into the bathroom with minor children all the time.
Yeah, but minor females, which
okay. If you have an issue with this, then just make bathrooms age based. Make a kid's bathroom that only kids are allowed to go into.
Well, bathrooms should be gender or sex based. They should be, hey, men go with men, female go with female, because it protects people from sexual assault. You can look up, there's multiple cases of transgender people going into bathrooms, for example, at Target and sexually assaulting young minors.
No, there aren't.
There's none.
I've never found one. Do you have like a case number or something?
Because you haven't found it.
Okay, but if you're going to make so then tell me the case. Give me like the case number or something. Because I can also find evidence of like females attacking females in the bathroom. Does this mean we should separate all females from each other in bathrooms?
Well, attacking is one thing.
No, like raping.
Right,
Female, like women assaulting. Are there not cases of women assaulting children?
I mean, I'm sure there is. Do you have a case?
Okay, should we make it so women and children aren't in bathrooms either? If it's gonna be somebody assaults someone in a bathroom, therefore they must be separated. We would need, the only thing we could do is it would have to be single use bathrooms for everywhere, because every demographic has assaulted every other demographic.
Right. I mean, I agree that people have always assaulted, but there's just a morality between allowing a man to be around a young woman in a restroom where she's vulnerable.
What's the morality there?
Well, typically we don't allow that to happen, just because women that are vulnerable, especially at a young age like that, can very easily be sexually assaulted in a public place, because we allow sick men who obviously are delusional and losing their sight of themselves around these young minors by themselves. And you support that.
The issue that you're doing here is you're presupposing things. You're
presupposing.
You're presupposing that trans people have a delusion. You're presupposing that they have a mental illness. You're presupposing all of this, and you're pumping that into the argument instead of just arguing what the actual facts of the matter are. If you're claiming that a group of people who assaults another group of people should not be around those people in private settings like a bathroom, then you would have to only have single-use bathrooms everywhere. You physically could not have anything but single-use bathrooms. Women have assaulted women. Women have assaulted children. Men have assaulted men. Men have assaulted children. Therefore, everyone should be separate. If the issue is adults with children, then separate bathrooms by age. When I worked at an elementary school, the bathrooms were separated by age. The kids went to the kids' bathroom. The adults went to the adults' bathroom. Just do that.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, hey, that would be kind of a good idea. I kind of agree with you on that we could separate them by age.
But even then, you're going to run into some issues, right? So let me give you an example. Let's say I have a father, and this father has like a 3 or 4 year old daughter who needs to pee. If you're in public, you're not letting your child pee by themselves. So you either A, as the father, take your child into the woman's room, and then therefore we have a man in the woman's room, or B, you take your daughter, if there's no family bathroom, right? If there's no family bathroom available, or you take your child into the men's bathroom, in which case there's a chance of men being around children. So which one does he do?
I honestly wasn't listening. I kind of wasn't paying attention to what you said.
Okay. Sure, I guess. If you have...
I mean, you got time. You got like 400 views right now.
I can't really hear you now. You're breaking up.
You got about 400 views right now. You've got time. You're not getting any other calls.
Okay. Since you picked up the phone, I've gotten like 10 calls, but okay.
Okay, sure. Most of the people in your comments right now are all saying pro-Trump, go MAGA. It's kind of interesting. You're getting most of your publicity from Trump supporters, which is kind of interesting.
I don't really care what the people in the comments are saying. Like, right, I'm focused on the
debate.
It's
just the majority of the people coming through and watching this are supporting Trump and not supporting you.
Good for them.
You're a very good speaker. You're very knowledgeable. You've obviously spent a lot of time researching these things and practiced for the debate. And people who are going to call in are not going to be prepared. Obviously, I'm very prepared. I just want to have a good conversation with you. But you also need to kind of sit back and realize a lot of the things you're saying you don't know about. Like whenever I bring something up, you always say, "Oh, well, I haven't seen that. I haven't heard about that. Can you quote it for me?" You're just not opening up to the other side.
No, what I'm saying when I say that is I need you. Hold on. And first of all, you're still breaking up. You're breaking up. Nobody can hear you. And there it goes. Like, what? We couldn't hear a word you were fucking saying. So just to reiterate, when I say something like, I don't know about that, show me evidence, it's not to say that I don't know that these things exist. I'm sure there could be a case of a trans person assaulting a cis person in the bathroom. You know what you're also going to find a bunch of? Trans women being assaulted in bathrooms. But the problem is the people on the right will make these claims without having any evidence to back it. I have evidence for my shit. Remember when I said there's more than 2 chromosomal pairings? There you go. Here's a bunch of them. Because I back up the shit I say.